everyone, can you hear me? I'm just checking the sound with my phone. Please wait for a while. Hello. Our sound is fine, thank you. Hello, Shogi Dojo Leon, and hello, Moon. Okay, so let's start. This is the third Shogi Wars 10 minutes live, and this time I will be using uh, the fourth fire rook, the Shikenbisha, only this time. And but I will change the strategy depending on the opponent's strategy. So not always the same. Mm. So sometimes I will switch to the bishop exchange shape, or sometimes I will change to the other file. So like third file rook or central rook. But I first start with the always with the fourth file rook. So not directly the other ranging rook. Okay, so this time I will only use Shikenbisha. And yes, so this is my page. It hasn't changed so much since the last time. And yes, I would do it the 10 minutes. So let's first I will just check the screen for a while. It seems good. So it's 10 p.m. in Japan time, and in the morning in the US, and in the afternoon in Europe. So in this case, it's a little different. So in the double ranging rook games, I will just use the opposing rook, Mukai-bisha. Since the Shikenbisha isn't the best strategy. Let's see. So Shikenbisha is usually not the best. So not Shikenbisha, but yes, the sound of the desktop is a little too loud, I think. So I've changed now, so tell me when it's fine. I usually don't push back soon the edge pawn with this kind of game. Oh, thank you. The sound is fine. Oh. So usually the central rook Nakabisha, in the double ranging rook game, it's a little difficult to play because of this pawn. This pawn will be usually targeted by the opponent. So now he switched to the certified rook Ishida shape. This is almost the equal game, but it's usually more difficult for the opponent to find an attack because of the silver's position. I want to force the opponent to drop the pawn here. And now I can exchange the pawn in this file, so... And with two pawns in hand, I'm looking for the edge attack. And so already on the next move, I will do the edge attack. So please remember with two pawns. This is already severe. A good example of the edge attack. So he can't drop the pawn here. Oh, a little too early to surrender, but yes, already I'm better. So let's analyze the game. A little too early, but he thought he has no chance already. So is the screen good? Maybe yes. So first, I didn't want to play the Shikenbisha. So in the double ranging rook game, I will never play Shikenbisha. The first reason is that the order is a little weird, but it's okay. So, for example, against this kind of attack from the center, the rook's position is really bad. It will be targeted by the bishop here or this way. And this is a bad shape, and the rook should escape somewhere here or here. And then I will lose some moves. So from the beginning, I just need to go to this file. And also against Mino. So now it's a little different, but for example, in this kind of a position, if if I was Shikenbisha, it's difficult to find an attack. There's no attack from this file. Usually the sixth file of Mino is one of the strongest files. So okay, so I will also read the comment. Ah, so the right edge bishop. Mm, we need to be careful. Mm. So first, Shikenbisha is not so suitable for this kind of game. Mm. Mukaibisha, the opposing rook is much better just to attack the front of the king. And going back for a while. So for example, in this kind of position, when the bishop comes here, then I will push this pawn. Then it will be difficult for him to push this pawn because of the bishop diagonal, and even if the silver comes up here, he needs many moves. For example, one more knight here, and still the knight is hanging. So one more bishop here, or the gold here is needed before starting this attack. But until then, I can surely defend with the rook control like this. Hmm. And now it's safe. For example, the order is a little incorrect, but it's okay to just showing the idea. So let's say, for example, this position. If he just loses one pawn and just to promote the bishop, it's not enough. I can erase this bishop soon this way. So uh, the same if the horse comes here, it will just be an exchange of the bishops, and I just got one pawn here. So this is too much. Mm. So against the edge bishop, I will usually go up the bishop, uh, open the bishop's diagonal, and push this pawn and defend with the rook's control like this. So this is the idea. Okay. So in okay, let's go back to the actual game. Hmm. So I just pushed the pawn here, and he pushed back already the pawn. The reason he did this is that if he just got the silver and my silver is here, the rook can never go to 3-4 because the pawn will be taken. So he didn't want to play this position, and even if he does nothing from here, I can even attack this pawn with two generals. It's a little risky, but if I succeed in just taking this pawn, I will get a clear advantage. So this is the reason he already pushed the pawn here. It's near the king, so a little risky, but and so this is too much. I would never think about this line. Mm. My castle is weaker than the opponent's castle against the rook exchange, so okay. I just went up the silver, and so here I did this move. Mm, I wanted to exchange the pawn here, so I wanted to force him to drop the pawn here, and also if I do nothing, for example, this way to create the silver crown, then the silver might go up here, and the exchange is very dangerous for me, like this way. The left side will be broken soon, so I didn't want to play this game. And even if I go back the silver, the bishop, for example, goes back to attack this pawn. Mm, this way or this way, I don't know, but I didn't think this is so comfortable for me. So I play this. He could have also played this way, but it's a little risky. The pawn drop here, and the exchange happens. And I have my silver to drop here, for example, mm, to attack the rook and the knight and mm, the gold here. I don't know if it really works, but a little risky for the opponent, so it's natural to drop the pawn here. But he should have played this way since the actual game I got a better position. So now I got two pawns here and here, and with two pawns, there's usually an edge attack. Mm. But it's now a little difficult to prevent this attack from the edge. So I think I already got a slight advantage here. Mm. And this is a good attack to remember. If he takes with the lance, then of course I drop the pawn here and go up the silver. The king can't protect. Mm. So this position is almost over. I can take the lance and drop the lance here and break the eighth file, so it's already over. Mm. And he can take with the knight. I can drop the pawn. If he does nothing, I go up the lance. I take the pawn with the lance, and the rook comes to the last file, the Suzume's shape, and I can just break the edge. So he took with the king, but this lance was too severe. If he drops the pawn, then the rook can come here. This is Uchifuzume, so I can't, but I can just take the lance and I'm clearly winning. He already resigned here, but if he goes back the king here, I would exchange the lance. And here, there's a very important move. Not only the lance here isn't enough. It's not over, and this is also not enough to completely break the castle. So it continues. So in this position, I need to first drop the pawn here. The knight can take with because of the pawn drop here. And in the next move, on the next move, I can use the rook. So the king escapes here. Then I go drop the lance here. The pawn or the lance the same protects, and the rook comes here. So the pawn, if the pawn was here, he can protect with the lance like this, but mm, since I dropped the pawn, already dropped the pawn here, there's no space to protect the lance file. So I think he already read until this position and realized that there will be no defense and resigned. So it seems a little early, but yes, it's a position already very difficult to reverse. Mm. Yes, so this is all for this game. So I just used some techniques here to force to drop the pawn here, and also preventing this kind of attack to the left side from the opponent. Okay, so let's go move on to the next game. I will switch my screen first. So again, I'm Sente. Now I can play Force Fire Rook. Since the opponent is a strong player, I don't know if I can just play a very classic style. Sometimes I need to change my strategy. Now let's see. So this is a Migi Shiken shape. So let's see if he plays Elmo or not. If he goes up the silver here, it will be Elmo. And if he goes up the gold here, it's not Elmo. If it's Elmo, I have one thing to show you. One good strategy I'm also explaining in the video. I want to show you that. I'm thinking if I should go up the pawn or... So the natural development isn't very easy against this Elmo Migi Shiken. And now I prepared carefully, so the usual attack is jumping the knight to the edge, but he didn't choose that. And he switched to the slow game. Probably he will play Anaguma from here. If he jumps the knight to the edge, I had a good counter attack, but now he chose the slow game. And I will also play slow. But the problem of Elmo is that the silver's position and the king gold position is a little weird for the slow game, so the development will be a little difficult. If he goes until here, the king here, and go up the lance and the king here, then the silver should come here, but it's not possible now. So now I don't know yet if he comes the rook here, but I think it's safe. It's a little dangerous in this position if he starts the attack immediately, but I think it's not possible here. But he did that. I think I can already exchange the pawn on the 6th file. But since the castle is too weak, I need to think very carefully. I'm thinking if my attack really works. It seems that it's not so simple. I can also go up the bishop now. But I'm Sente, so I'm not so confident about this move, but mm,
7分
a very sad click miss. But if I ignore this, I will get much worse. So I'm sorry for him. Mm. But I couldn't ignore because I wasn't sure if he just go back the position. But I also did the. I'm sorry for him, but I couldn't ignore. I wanted to go back the position, for example, like this, and if he goes back here, then I could have played this, but but I wasn't sure at all, and if he plays another move, it will be completely a different game, so it's okay. But uh, I'm explaining this strategy in my video, so it's a little too long to explain. Sorry, this line now. So let me explain if the same position happens later. Mm, so the problem for the opponent is that the Anaguma isn't strong, so at all this Anaguma. The silver should come here, but too many moves until the silver finally comes here. And this is a natural way of thinking that since my gold is here, the attack will be a little too much. I already prepared, so switching to the slow game uh, is a usual way, but with Elmo, with only these two moves, the silver and the gold, and then after that, the slow game is extremely difficult. Mm. I've never found a good development from the opponent's castle. Mm. If the gold was here and the silver was here, every castle is possible, but only after these two moves. He should always lose some moves. Sorry, I didn't change the board. Sorry. So again, just a quick summary. So I'm explaining in my video course what happens if the knight comes here, but it's a very long line, so I don't explain. I will explain if the same position happens later. And so this is natural to think that I prepared carefully against the attack from this side, so not immediately attacking from here and going to the slow game is a natural idea, but developing the castle from here is extremely difficult and almost impossible without huge loss of moves. So the gold will go up to 3-2 and lose one move, and the silver moves uh, two two losses of move. The silver went up once here and should go back here before completing the Anaguma. So since there's nothing to do, he just did this move. And if I play here, then he would exchange the pawn here, and the knight jump will be too severe. The very weak point of the gold and the bishop here. So I didn't want to play this position. So I wanted to, of course, I wanted to play the gold first, but I thought I don't have time. And he wanted to exchange the bishop, but he misclicked. And here, I think that this exchange of silvers, I have the advantage. There's a rook promotion and a silver fork here. If the rook comes here, then I drop the pawn. It's not a bad position for me, I thought. So maybe he wanted to play the pawn exchange here. Hmm. But there's this bishop drop, so I thought it's a little too much, but so it's usually very good this bishop drop, but sometimes not completely over yet. So I can promote the bishop, but he can also drop the pawn here, and it will just be an exchange of pieces. For example, if I take this pawn, then the knight, for example, closes the horse diagonal, and the pawn promotion will be severe on the next move. And if I go back the horse here, for example, then he will also drop the bishop here, and after the exchange, still the pawn promotion. I need to defend the pawn promotion. So maybe he wanted to do this kind of attack here, but I think it's a little too much. So the bishop drop here is one possibility, and also the pawn drop here and taking the pawn was also possible. I wasn't sure which is better, but so here maybe the reason he didn't play this and went up the gold here, maybe he played a similar position before and he chose this. This is more natural shape, but the pawn promotion he needs to defend, and if the gold is here, it's already protected. So this was almost equal, I think. If I drop the bishop or I drop the pawn and take the pawn, both were almost equal. Uh, so what about taking with the gold? Yes, I can also take with the gold, but the bishop drop is annoying. I can also drop the bishop here or here, so this is also possible. I can't judge soon. If I drop the bishop here, then it will be a bishop and a rook exchange, for example. If I drop the bishop here, he will take with the gold first and escape the rook somewhere, for example here. I can promote the rook, but the knight will be also taken with the horse later, so Gote will have material advantage. I can make the dragon, so this is also difficult. Okay, so unfortunate misclick, but yes. Okay, so let's move on to the next game. I will switch the screen and start the next game. So again, the go down player. so I can play again the fourth fire rook. This kind of move, I hate this kind of move. You should never do this. There's no reason to play this early here. I can also exchange the pawn here. I don't know what he wants to play. I can also go up the saber. For me, it seems a little already risky, so I'm thinking about just starting the attack immediately. So, too risky opening. If I had more time. I can also go up the gold here and already start the attack, or just create in the minnow. Just the minnow is also fine, so so I just protect this file and want it to attack this way. It seems too risky for me. I don't know what he wants to do. Maybe the pawn drop here. But since a little weird game. I don't have many things to say with this game, so I will quickly end the game. Okay, I don't have many things to say too, so let's just move on to the next game. Just the order was a little too dangerous. Just the 6th file, he should have prepared with the knight or the rook somehow. So again, I'm Sente. The gold 7-8 formation is a good shape. If I have a clear aim. I usually push the pawn that timing because I can also choose the Fuji system if he doesn't push back, and I want to see if he is going for to Anagma or other strategy. I will play Mino, just Mino. I'm not sure what he's aiming to play. So he chose the Silver Crown. But the problem for him is that it's not easy to go up the king in the castle. Yeah, so here there were the forks, so we play this first. I think there is a usual attack, and I'm checking if the position is correct. Here there are two possible strategies. Just attacking the king with the bishop's diagonal, or playing switching to Nakabisha, the central rook. I'm not sure which one is better. If I attack with the bishop's diagonal, I'll just push the pawn here and here. There's one thing I want to do with the central rook. I'm not sure if it really works, but there's one thing I want to do. Maybe it's not this position. I'm not sure.
$7
But let's try. I'm not sure if the position is correct again, but there's one thing I want to do. So if it does nothing here, especially here, I want to jump the knight already. This is what I was thinking. I don't know if it really works, but let's challenge. I don't have time. And I first push the pawn here. I don't know if it really works again, but I think this pawn is a little dangerous. Giving me one pawn I can drop here, so maybe it's a little dangerous. And now what I want to do is already sacrificing the bishop. But since I got one pawn in hand, I can also do other things. What I wanted to do is sacrificing it now, but let's do the initial aim. So this diagonal isn't easy to protect. This diagonal. So the attack with two rooks is also fast. So I need to be careful, but this position doesn't seem so bad for me. You'll probably drop the rook here, and this will be a matter of speed. Ready? Today they resigned a little too early, my opponents. I didn't think it was already over, but yes, but it's a good example. So until the middle game, this is just a no more development. He didn't play the bishop here, of course, because of the knight jump. And attacking with the king here is too dangerous. It's too close to the, and also the, sorry, the silver goes up, for example. There's, sorry, always the bishop check here, for example. So now there's a bishop drop here. So for example, if I drop the pawn here, and if he just exchanges the silver, this is a usual attack, but the just a boggin attack. But there's always this kind of counter attack. So he needs to change. He needs to go up the king to 2-2. But so for to do that, he needs to go up the bishop here, not here. And now I was thinking two possibility. The first one is pushing the pawn here and the pawn here. If he does this or this, then pushing this pawn and attacking with the bishop's diagonal like this. But here I don't think I'm better, because if the king goes back, the lance is already escaped, so I can take nothing, and I need to escape the rook first, for example here. Then the bishop goes back here, and the knight will be trapped soon. I can promote the bishop, but no continuation from here. So I just lose the knight, and the bishop will be also erased soon. So this is Mm, yes. So if he plays the bishop to 3-3 earlier, this is completely a different game, and this strategy exists in the professional games as well. So it's not bad, this strategy. It's just one possibility, but mm, this attack was found several years ago. なるはプロモートですね。This night jump was found. It's almost the same. If the silver comes back here, I will just push the pawn, and I can also go up the silver this way and take the pawn and drop the pawn here. This is also possible. Maybe he thought that in this kind of position the silver here is more good for better for the defense, maybe. So if I just push the pawn here, then the bishop exchange happens, and Mm, the pawn push is possible here. If I drop the bishop, then the gold can protect. This is also not very easy, but mm, or if I just push the pawn here, the bishop exchange and push the pawn. There's a fork here. If I promote the pawn, then maybe this token is faster. There's a fork, but the token is also very fast and close to the king. So, and the castle is too strong. I don't think it's a good position for Shikenbisha side. So first I push the pawn here, and if he takes with the pawn, then I can open the bishop's diagonal without the bishop exchange. On the next move, I can take with the rook, for example. If the bishop takes, then there will be a fork, and I can take the gold, or not taking soon and just going up the silver and taking the pawn with the silver. Since the knight is here, it's impossible for the opponent to protect the pawn with the silver, so I can surely go up until 5-5 square. So he thought it's dangerous. If he takes with the bishop, then I already sacrifice the rook and push the pawn. And now, without the knight jump, it's very easy. He can just protect this way or this way. But after the knight jump, there's no generals to protect the pawn here. And also, the pawn is already pushed. I will not do this attack with the pawn remaining here. The pawn was already pushed, so there's always a fork. And if he drops the rook here, then I can just go up the silver and take the pawn. So, and if he pushes the pawn here, I can take the pawn. The knight jumps, and I will take the pawn here. Mm. If the knight jumps, then exchange, and I can also take and drop the knight, or this tsuji. This is almost over. Mm. So he just pushed the pawn first. I could have also taken with the bishop as well, but I wanted to do the attack with the bishop's diagonal, so I took with the pawn and pushed the pawn here. And the king escaped. I dropped the pawn here. Maybe he should have played the rook here. I go up the bishop here, and the rook comes here. Mm. It seems like I'm slightly better, but I wasn't really sure. But now, just the promotion and the exchange of the pieces isn't enough. Mm. But the bishop drop is severe. I can take the rook, so he will take with the silver, and I can promote the pawn here. Maybe this is faster. My attack is faster, so maybe he thought uh, he will lose in this position, so he resigned. But still, he could also take with the gold. If the token goes here, it's a little far from the king, so and the rook promotes, and I take the silver. It's not a threat mate yet, but if he gives me one rook, then just this way there is a mate. It's me. So if he can't sacrifice the rook, then my king is too safe. For example, if he protects with the knight, I can also protect with the silver. And it's too solid, this castle. And I can just play slowly, attack slowly. So Yes, he resigned a little early, but with the bishop drop here, maybe it was already enough clear. I think. Okay. So please remember this kind of attack. The knight jump first, pawn push first. This is the most important thing. Just the pawn push isn't enough. The pawn push later to 5-5 will be ignored by the opponent. So, a good example to show. Okay, so switch the screen first and let's move on to the next game. I think that the sound is a little too loud now. Again, Shikenbisha against on 3 down. I'm setting as a playing with the strongest player, but there are not so many 6-down player in this time control because many people will play. We just play with 3 minutes, or 10-second game. So now he's going to Anaguma now. So I need to attack with a kind of Fuji system shape. And if the king comes here, it was a little dangerous, so he switched to the silver crown. The king is a little unusual. I don't say often, but still not a bad move yet. Now I understand. He wanted to play this shape. So Yonenaga style king. I don't know how I say in English. So the king is already out of the bishop's diagonal. So, but it's of course weak against the edge attack and the endgame. And Silver Crown is a safe strategy until completing the castle. But the problem is that it's very hard to find an attack from here. This is the biggest problem. And he can't fortify the castle anymore. So he should just wait, but since he's sent there, just waiting is a little passive strategy. He went back the bishop. So there are many possibilities, but I will just attack. Since there's this pawn push, you just need to drop the pawn here and probably jump the knight here. And I will switch. I will change the silver's position. So this game, since I'm Gote, it's completely okay to play the Sennichite, and as Gote, it's hard to prevent that. So I don't really want to show the Sennichite game, but it's okay. If I change the move, it will be a bad position. So he should change first because he's senti. If he played the rook here, then I played the same position, I think. And now this file seems weak. So this is why I said that it's difficult to find an attack. If he attacks with the server, there's always a weakness on his castle. Yeah, maybe. But I will just play Sennichite if the Sennichite is the best option. So I'm now thinking taken with the silver, but seems like a little too much, so I will just take with the knight. He should ignore this and not take instant. He should protect somehow and then take the knight later. One possibility is dropping the pawn here, chasing the bishop and pushing the pawn here. So I'm worrying about it. Then I'm not sure if I'm really better if he does this. I'm not sure if I'm clearly better. Probably I should have taken with the silver, but or this attack was a little too early. It seemed that it works, but this position isn't so comfortable for me. It's usually better, but I'm afraid of one line, but so if I take with a rook, he will take the knight and drop to 5-5. This is what he wants to play. But the natural move is usually the best, so now I think the position isn't bad for me. I now understand what he wanted to play. The meaning of the pawn, different from what I first thought. He wanted to drop the silver here. I think it's a good idea. Now I need to sacrifice my silver seems bad. The rook to 6-5 seems severe. I don't want to drop the silver. Oh, the position is difficult. A good Sandan player I don't see a clear move here. Very difficult position. So I wanted to drop the silver to 6-3, maybe 4-7, but the rook here and taking the bishop is too severe. If the bishop disappears from the board, the opponent's bishop will be active. This is the biggest problem. I didn't see the pawn drop first and pawn push to 5-5, so a very good counter attack. Now he should take the silver, no, the knight, and go up the bishop to 3-3. Probably 7-7 he takes. I can drop the silver here, but he goes up the bishop here. Very correct.
$5 分
The bishop here is the correct move. Now this is a little dangerous. The silver dropped to 2-2. I think the silver is severe, but the silver can go back here, so not over yet. But I really want to drop the silver here, but not so clear. The silver goes back and there is still room to escape. Very good game, good player. If he takes the bishop, I take the bishop and drop here. If he takes with the rook, I promote. The gold should take. Now this move is too severe, I think. Not immediately dropping the bishop because of the bishop drop here. It's not so clear yet. First the pawn is good here. And he will push the pawn here and I will go back the gold. And it's a little difficult to attack my king, I think. I somehow got a better position, I think, but before this position I was There are positions how was bad maybe are a good player. Seems stronger than 3 dan. Dropping the bishop or just promoting the pawn. Because dropping the bishop first is better.
3分
Just safely, just safely.
2分30秒 2分
Hmm?
1分30秒
I think I'm still winning. If the pawn, if he drops a pawn here, then there's no threat meant for me, or there could even be a sudden mate, I think. Maybe I missed something, but I don't know. Difficult game, yeah. I'm good game. Seems like I missed something. Mm. With the gold here, no, there's no to me, but maybe just the history was possible in an easier way, I think. Yes. So maybe maybe this was much more clear. He didn't even took the gold yet, so maybe it was better. Mm. But yes, so let's see from the beginning. So if he plays this move here, then I don't know if I should go back the king once, but I'm not sure. But in this kind of position, if he goes for the Anaguma, I can attack this way with the bishop's diagonal. It's not completely over yet, but but you are right about the gold 9-7. It was the better move. The actual game was a little dangerous. So this is usually a little too dangerous for the opponent. So he chose the safer way, just creating silver crown shape. The order was a little unusual, but this position is usual. Not staying here because of the bishop's diagonal, my bishop's diagonal. So, I see many people, many Ibisha players who play this shape, but this is one uh, of the strategy I never recommend to play as Ibisha player. It's safe to create the castle until here, but there's no attack from here. For example, if the bishop goes back here to go up here, then already this attack is severe. The bishop is still staying here, so it doesn't work for the attack and no for the defense, so it's difficult. The bishop went back here, but there's no clear attack from here. I just exchange the pawn, and if I go up the silver, it's a very good shape. He did this, but I'm Gote, so I don't care if it will be Senichi. Yes, of course I'm a stronger player, and but mm, it's not a draw, Senichi. It's draw in this app, but in the games in person, I will just play Sente next, so it's okay. Mm. So when I'm Gote, Senichi is not winning, but I'm always okay the Senichi as Sente, even if I'm a stronger player. So he attacked with this server, but always the problem is that this file will be weak. 相手はどう組むべきなんですか? So the question is that how he should create a castle. Already Silver Crown isn't a good castle. The conclusion. I would never recommend as Sente. He should have played Millennium or the Rapid Attack or something else. I've never seen, except the professionals, I've never seen the amateur player playing well with this castle. Only professionals can play a equal game with this castle. So this is what many people don't know, even in Japan. So not choosing the Silver Crown again, especially against the Shikenbisha, 4-star Rook. Mm. So I already started the attack, but I thought it works well, but the actual game it wasn't so good. So maybe I should have played different way. For example, just going back the bishop once, and if he drops a pawn here, then I will switch the rook somewhere or do something else. But I thought it works, and I took with the knight. I wanted to take with the silver as well. If he takes the with the pawn drop here, and the knight jump is too severe. The gold is already captured, and I will take the gold and drop the gold here. This is simple. But if I take with the silver, he blocks my bishop's diagonal and will take the silver on the next move. And I didn't see a clear move here, so I didn't play this. So there's also this kind of fork, but mm, so I lost one silver and one knight and got just one gold. So and this is scary. If I take this pawn, the pawn promotion, and if I take this pawn, the castle is too weak. So I didn't want to play this position. So I took with the knight. So dropping just a pawn here was also possible. I first think though that this position is better for me, but so it's a little difficult. Seems like he just played the passive moves, but if I go back the bishop here, then he will take the knight and drop the knight here or here. Ah, sorry. So not taking the silver soon is always, the knight soon is always important. If I go back the bishop here, then this bishop or the check is too scary. Mm, it seems bad for me. So, mm, mm, I don't know. I didn't know how to play if he did that. Mm, but he did this. I could have also escaped the rook somewhere. Maybe it was better. I didn't see what he wants to do, so I first thought that he wants to take the knight here and drop the knight here. But here I will escape the gold first here or the rook here. He can drop the knight, but there will be no continuation soon, I think. So I thought it's okay, but he wanted to do different thing. This was severe. If I take with the bishop, he will take with the pawn. If I take with the rook, then the fork. If I escape the rook here, then the bishop again is too severe. Mm. So I took with the rook. And I first thought about the silver here. If the rook escapes somewhere, I promote the bishop. The knight will be taken, but this knight drop. Mm, but still, it's not a very good way. So maybe even the rook escape here was also possible, but this is a clearer way. If I escape the bishop, that the silver will be taken. If I take with the rook, the bishop will be taken. And always after taking the knight, the bishop here targeting my king is too severe. I got the rook, but uh, I wasted the silver here, so there will be no strong attack. Even if I succeed in doing this attack, it's not enough yet. The king escapes here, and I take the gold and take, and maybe before that the knight is already taken. So with just one gold, it's not enough yet. So I didn't drop the silver here, and I dropped a pawn here. And I first wanted to drop the silver here for the promotion of the pawn and taking the gold, but the bishop here is a very good timing. It's check, so I don't have the time to take the gold, and if I take with the bishop. The gold up or this. The castle is strong with the rook here, and again the bishop drop will be too strong, so I couldn't play this. And I dropped the pawn here. And here, the bishop here was the correct move, although it's a little difficult to see. And I was clearly bad in this position. I can't take the road, the bishop will be taken. If my bishop just escapes, then there are no weakness anymore on the opponent's camp. And for example, if I drop the knight here, still I can't take the gold on the next move. The bishop will be taken. So he can just attack somehow, like this, or even drop the knight here, for example. Mm. So, this was a little dangerous, and I could drop the silver here. The position is still difficult, but the king's position became much more dangerous than before, and both players don't have enough time. So from here, maybe it's easier for me to play. Mm. It's still difficult, but I was a slight better position. He should have taken with the gold. Against the bishop, he can protect with the bishop here. If I drop the bishop here, again, always with the bishop, and he will not lose any material easily. So I need to find a better attack, and I didn't find that yet. So it was more difficult if he took with the gold. But with the rook, then this pawn drop was severe. If he takes with the gold, then the fork, and I can take the rook. If he escapes the gold somewhere, the same thing. Much severe than just dropping the bishop after the pawn drop. So from here, it was yes, I was winning. Maybe the endgame was a little dangerous, but still okay. There were no position I was losing, I think. Okay, so today I will do until uh, the 24 o'clock. So yes, 30 more minutes, one or two games. Go down, 5 down. Again, he played. I didn't expect this strategy. This is Takadaru. I think it's popular in the Europe. I will first create this shape. I haven't played so much against Takadaru with the false fire rook. I always play the third fire rook against Takadaru. But he didn't play Takadaru. Takadaru is the double ranging rook, so it's different. So now if I play too slowly, the vanguard pawn here will be too strong, so I need to do a counter attack quickly. There are several possibilities. It's difficult. I need to play somehow a little risky way. I want to attack this pawn, this file, somehow. But now it doesn't seem so easy, so I will just create a silver crown first. So the idea is, I will show the idea soon. The idea was switching the rook to this file and attacking from here. Now he will probably push the pawn here. This seems risky for the opponent, but there's a bishop drop here, so he decided to attack. So there are several ways. I can just take and sacrifice the bishop already. This is what I want to do the most. And pushing the pawn here is also seems also good.
7分
So I'm still thinking which one is better. If he just takes the pawn and drop the pawn again and got the silver, then it will be difficult to attack. There are many I see many good attacks, so sacrificing the bishop or just dropping the pawn here. I prefer this. Too risky, I think. With the silver here, he will lose more materials, so more dangerous than the silver here. So I decide to drop the pawn. seems close to the end already, I think. If I play correctly from here. In this kind of position, you should think carefully. Many moves seems possible, but if I don't play carefully in this kind of position, I will make a big mistake. So
5分
I go up the server, but the pawn drop here seems scary. Maybe I should just take. And the knight drop, and I will go back, straight back to. Or I can also escape the king. I don't know which one is correct. But I think just taking is correct in this kind of position. After the knight drop, he should also drop the gold here. Maybe I can play one more game. 'Can foreign players read kanji? I think yes. At first it's a little difficult, but just a kanji of the pieces, of course, yes. But at first it's a little difficult, I think. So he started to play Takadaru shape, I thought. If I didn't push the pawn and just continued this way, then he would have played sorry, if I do nothing, really nothing, then he would have played this way. This is Takadaru, and castling to the rook side this way. If I already do nothing, so I hurried to create an attacking shape. First the silver here, and then he switched to so he thought that after the bishop here, the silver going here will be fast, so he defended with the rook and thought that it's a little difficult to switch to Takadaru again, so he just played the king first. But the idea is still the same, bringing the king here, and so there are several shapes, but the same thing is that bringing the rook to this side, to the king side. To do that, he needs to jump the knight, so the bishop here first and jump the knight is one idea, and also the silver here, and like the actual game, this kind of shape is also usual to bring the rook here and attacking the second file. So I wanted to attack uh, directly this way, but the knight side is weak, so this kind of attack was a little scary. This is also risky for the opponent, but I didn't see clear counter attack here, so I didn't jump the knight soon. And before that, I protected the knight's head with a saber first, and also created the silver crown shape. And the main idea isn't just casting here, but bringing the rook to this file and attacking here. Now it's difficult to defend. Even if he plays this, I play this, and the rook isn't directly protecting the 4-5 square. The silver is here, so there's no way to defend this. So now already I think I got a slight advantage. Mm, this is possible, but for the opponent's perspective, it's too dangerous. I can double pawn, but just take the rook. Since my bishop is here, I can protect with the gold and take the bishop. If I go up the king, then there's bishop promotion, and the rook will be taken, so it's over. So I need to be careful about this. But the gold here was possible, so maybe it was impossible. I think he didn't want to do this here, but after the rook here, it's impossible to defend this file, so he just puts the pawn. But to risk, there are many moves here, many possible moves here. Just pushing the pawn was also possible. This way. Many generals going up, but after the pawn drop here, I wasn't sure. If the silver goes back, then it's safe for the opponent. So I just need to continue the attack, but I thought it's too risky this way. Still, it was still possible. This kind of game. This was also possible, but I thought it was too risky. So I just took the pawn here. And now I can already do this, but without the silver in hand. Gold or king, both are possible. It's not enough yet. I don't have the silver. I can drop a pawn here, so maybe. Sorry. Here. I don't know where is the best square to escape, but for example, uh, sorry. The king can escape to this side, so it's not over. So I didn't think it. I'm getting clear advantage. So I dropped the pawn here. The actual game, he went up the silver here, but too dangerous. 1引かれ4四銀. This is possible, but too late. My attack from here is much more faster. And the knight is still protecting, so it will be just a knight exchange. So the attack from the second file is too late. So I think he didn't want to do this, but he realized here that the defense is already impossible, and he should somehow attack. And the silver went back here. If the silver went back here, I will attack this way. And just aggressively like this. And the knight's head is too weak. If this silver takes, then I take with the pawn. If the silver takes again, then the pawn drop is too severe. If this silver takes the silver and I take with the pawn, and if the bishop takes, the silver is also possible, and this silver is also severe. So if he goes back, then my attack still continues. So he went up the silver, but now my castle became weak, but it's more important that I will get the silver here to attack the king. And the king can't escape this way because it's check ote and I can take the silver for free. So he escaped here, but then it was too dangerous. If he takes the silver, I just take with the gold and my king is safe, so he dropped the pawn. I didn't escape the gold because taking the silver and dropping the silver is scary, so I just took and attacked with the knight until here. So escaping the king was also possible, but I was sure that the attack from the gote isn't enough to mate my king, so here there's no pawn. And if he, I don't know how he protects, but if he protects like this way, then I can first protect this square or just take the knight this way. So he needs to first drop the knight here and drop the gold, but I escaped the king. The king is still safe. There are many room to escape to this way. And since he used the final gold, on the next move, there's this thread mate. It's already made because of this knight drop. But he only has the bishop, so it's not possible to defend. This is nothing. There will be no attack, and I can just add the pieces. Or this is clear. Okay, so this is also a good example to play against Takadaru. I already realized here that he's aiming for the Takada shape. So and here again, I decide to attack this pawn, not playing slowly, and letting the opponent make the ideal shape. And I wanted to bring the rook to this file somehow, and I found the way with the silver crown. So it was I think it was a good opening and middle game for me. Okay, so let's do the final game. Go down player, 5 down player. I can also play the opposing group, but I already consider the possibility that the opponent will play Hikikaku strategy or Itodani Ryu, since he didn't open the bishop's diagonal, which is not so usual. But he did, so this is a natural, normal game. I usually play opposing rook, but today I will just play the Shikenbisha game. I don't know why many people play this way. Pushing back the pawn here and going for Anaguma isn't really easy, but the idea was playing the Elmo game, so I can show you the example how to play. Not the best. I don't know if it's the best, but the way to play against Elmo. Against Elmo, the bishop exchange is usually a good way. Now I need to think. If I push the pawn, the bishop exchange and the bishop drop here is too severe, so I just go up the gold first. He will probably push the pawn here. Refusing to exchange the bishop. The knight jump seems a little early, but I also explained this idea in my video. So if he watched that before, he will push the pawn here and go up the gold here. But then I will play differently. If I do nothing, I will explain later that there will be a good strategy from the opponent. So I need to push the pawn probably now. It's not so usual. I'm thinking if it will be the same position if I take the pawn now. I think it will, so now I just take the pawn. If it plays differently, it's okay. It's a final game for today. This is just a click miss. He wanted to go up the silver straight up to 5-4. This is just a click miss, so I don't want to show too many click miss game. I also did the first live stream. So if he went up the silver here, he had the so he needs to take this pawn. I just gave him the chance to play the same position, but he ignored and just jumped to the knight. This is what I didn't expect.
7分。
No, I'm bad now. But it's okay. This is my decision. And if I wasn't live streaming, I just took the server, and if I was gote, maybe I play the same way, so it's okay. Not everyone doing the live stream, so. あ、そうですね。ルークミスの手を生かされちゃいましたね。This position never happened. If he didn't do the flick miss. But still, the position is bad for me, but he needs to play correctly from here, so not a very easy position. But this is a good move.
$5分
But still not very easy, I think. I'm bad for sure, but I'm not seeing a clear losing line yet. I don't know if I can reverse from here, but yes, he's thinking, because it's not so easy as it looks like now. Going up the silver seems the correct move, rather the correct move. But a little difficult to play. The pawn push was the initial idea, and if he goes up the silver, he's strong. Going up the silver is correct. But still, I have a decent chance. So there's a fork. So he should take with the gold, but now it's difficult still. Several possibilities. Not so bad as I thought first. It's a closer game than I thought. I'm still bad, I think, but but still, if there's one good move that I'm not saying, probably I will lose, but I don't see yet. He also needs a good move here, not a natural move. Not natural, but the simple move will be a different position, difficult position. So, and yes, this is a good move. No token, yes. And now it became much harder for me to win from here.
3分
Gold here, just simply the gold here is too severe. I don't know how I can reverse the position from here. But still I will do my best that just the gold here is correct. But I will escape with the rook, and going the gold here is correct. I only see my losing moves, but this is also severe.
2分30秒 2分
But I'm not planning to win with time. I will just resign if the position is clearly bad.
1分30秒。1分。
But he also did a good move at the end. A sad game for everyone. but but it was the last game. I didn't want to end with a click miss. So here, if I do nothing here, for example, not pushing this pawn and just push this pawn, then the silver goes up and aim for the knight jump. I can push the pawn, but the gold comes here or here, and I take the pawn and the gold takes. Then again the knight jump will come next or a little later, and I can't go up the silver. The knight jump will come and this file will be broken. So this is what he is aiming for. So I already pushed the pawn, and if he just takes, then I don't know if I first exchange or just take, but I was thinking about just taking. This is usually a bad shape for the force fire rook, but this position, there's a fork here, and also, for example, if he protects now, then there's a attack on the knight's head. If the rook protects like this way, I can drop the bishop here. The rook goes back and I can take the pawn. And of course, if he takes this pawn, then I can drop the pawn here. The most usual way to attack the knight's head. So I pushed the pawn here. If it takes, I will just take the gold. So the castle becomes weak, but there's a clear weakness on the knight's head, so the position isn't bad for me. So this is a little unusual. Usually going up the gold this way is usually a bad move, but only in this case, go to shape is also not a very good shape, so it works. Then he went up here, but I'm sure he wanted to do this. But this position is clearly better for me. I take the pawn. If he jumps the knight, like the actual game, I just take the silver and it will be the exchange of two pieces and the bishop. So, and I can promote the rook on the next move. So this is clearly better for me. And if he takes the pawn with the silver, I just simply drop the pawn here. Silver should go back here and I can break this file. Not breaking, but if he drops the pawn here, again, I attack the knight's head with my pawn, and this is good for me. It's difficult to defend the knight's head. So even if he did the correct move, the position is better for me. If he takes with the bishop, I will take back, and the silver takes. And there are several moves, possible moves, but I will just attack the knight's head this way. Or, sorry, if the silver goes up here, takes, and I can also just push the pawn here. If the knight jumps, I take the bishop and I can take the knight. If he takes the bishop, then I will take the knight in this case. And he can't jump the knight, and I can take the knight with the pawn. So this is also possible. There are many good moves here. Or I will just take the bishop and drop again here. If he drops the pawn here, I will drop the pawn here. The idea of dropping the bishop here is protecting against this bishop drop. Now the rook is protected, so I escape the gold and I just got one more silver, so this is better, even if I lose the rook. So, pushing the pawn, taking and re-dropping the bishop here, or take the bishop and attack the knight's head. There are many good attacks, so even if he just went up the silver, I was better, and he did a click miss, and so I don't need to explain many things from here, but still, there were a good move at the end, so only that I will explain. So he should have just taken the pawn or this pawn, because if he did the silver here, he probably chose. So if yes, I didn't explain that. If he went up the silver and I took the pawn, and if he goes the silver up here, then I would probably go up the bishop here to attack the knight. And if he protects the knight with the gold, I sacrifice and take the silver, for example. Or jump the knight first, the silver comes here, then the pawn here. This is also possible, but the bishop will be trapped. A little too much to sacrifice and just promote, so this was possible, I think. Still, I can also go up the silver here to drop the pawn on the next move. There are several possible moves, so maybe this is better for me. Sorry. He should continue the attack this way. If I take the pawn push here, so I can't go up the bishop this way because of the pawn sacrifice. So I would probably take the pawn with the bishop here. The bishop comes here. Just a pawn, and the silver goes up. Goes back. And the rook here to limit the bishop's move, or just attack the knight's head. The rook protects, and the rook continues to attack the knight's head. Just several examples. But I'm always better, I think. Okay. And the actual game, he jumps on the knight. Just changed the way and took the advantage of doing the misclick. Okay, if I do this, sacrifice the rook and take the gold and promote the knight. If I escape the rook here, then just the silver here. The bishop is hanging, so I can't escape the rook. If I promote this way, the promoted knight is too strong, I think. The opponent's attack is a little faster, I think. The horse is also protecting. For example, if I drop the gold here, then there's a pawn drop here. And I can't win. So I couldn't play this, so So I let him promote the rook, but I take the knight. This was my idea. And I dropped the bishop here and took the silver with the pawn. This was a trap. The natural way is just promoting the pawn here, but I try to exchange the rook. If the rook comes here, I promote, or always the silver here is very scary for the opponent. If the king takes, then it becomes much more dangerous. And after that, I can promote the rook. So still, I'm not winning, maybe losing with this gold, but too scary for the opponent. And if the rook exchange happens, just the same thing. If he just drops a rook like this way, sorry, he has the gold in hand and I have the silver in hand, then I will drop the silver here. And it will be much more difficult than the actual game. So this was a trap from me. And he found that and defended with the bishop here. This was a great move. I had nothing to do but took the bishop, but taking back with the gold. And now, yes, this is the actual game. Now there are plenty of room to escape for this king, so it became much safer. And from here, I had no chance. So, yes, this move was a very good move. Mm. He kept cool at the end game. So didn't play this. Mm. Okay. But still okay for the click miss. It's okay. Everyone does a click miss. So mm. Okay. So it's late now in Japan. So this is all for today live streaming. Mm. Thank you for watching for 2 hours and 20 minutes. So next time, I'm not sure when is the next time, but maybe the weekday next week, sometime. Maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know, but I will decide soon. Next time, I will play maybe static rook. Mm. But the double static rook, I can't decide myself always the strategy. So maybe I will fix the I will fix to 2 or 3 strategies. For example, like bishop exchange, kakugawari, and yoko fudori, like that. Then I can surely do mm, one of these two, probably. Yes. Thank you for watching. So see you next time. Bye bye.